Hi everyone, welcome to this session, Innovating Minds, Building Bridges Between Mental Health and Artificial Intelligence. My name's Julie McCarthy and I am the Strategic Lead for Creative Health at GMCA and NHS Greater Manchester. So it's my job to embed culture and creativity and potentially createch into health and wellbeing from community up to a kind of clinical perspective and all those pathways. So today we're going to highlight some of the opportunities and the projects resulting from two UKRI programs, BridgeAI and Mindset XR. And I do have to confess this is not my specialist subject. We are joined by three of the innovative projects showcasing as part of the Mindset program. And you can see these in the compass room upstairs as well. But before I invite the panel to come up and join me, we're going to have two short videos. So the first one is from Win Faria, the Knowledge Transfer Network at BridgeAI, about their program and the up and coming opportunities.
My name is Win Faria and I'm the Creative Industries Lead for the BridgeAI program. I've been doing this role for about 3 years now and I'm part of Innovate UK Business Connect. We at Business Connect essentially work as a network of networks, helping entrepreneurs and innovators to connect to RTOs, academic institutions and technology providers, and also provide and help and support with grant funding and competition funding as well. At this point, I'll bring up two things for your interest. The first is that the creative industries is part of the UK government's strategy or industrial strategy. And there is a plan on the internet that you can read, which is about 80 pages, which I thoroughly recommend you read, that takes the transition right out to 2035 in terms of how the government is going to support the creative industries. Also at this point, I would suggest you get your phones out because there will be a number of QR codes which I'm sure you'll be pleased to connect to. One of the things that we've been doing as part of the BridgeAI program is a series of events, and unfortunately you've missed this one, but this was hosted by one of our partner organisations, the Turing Institute. It was an adopters and developers event, and it was designed to connect adopters and developers as part of the BridgeAI program and as part of the creative industries. The program is still running, and there are some other opportunities which you could potentially connect to and join. One of the things that we have done is put together the AI Skills Hub in partnership with PwC. This offers training and development, personalised learning pathways, data and insights, and connections and collaborations, and that's ongoing. So I would recommend that if you're interested in learning these skills, that you subscribe to the AI Skills Hub, and hopefully it will help you and support you in your journey as you build your businesses. We've also put together a creative industries investor database. This allows you to access funding off cycle where perhaps we don't have the grant opportunities or the competitions running to support you as part of your investor and entrepreneur journey. We've run a series of events, and this is just a snapshot of what we've done. We've run events in Northern Ireland and in Scotland, and also as part of the program, I am the advisory group secretariat. And what we do is we meet about 4 times a year, and we have creative industries representation within that secretariat. And the idea is that that feedback goes into Innovate UK at a strategic level. We're also running an annual showcase event. This is on the 9th of March, that's Monday the 9th of March in 26. It will be our final showcase event for this iteration of the programme. So if you could put that into your diaries, that might be a good idea and a good event to come to. It will be in London. We have some stats. We've also, through the programme, helped and supported nearly 3,500 organisations. We've offered up, as of April, nearly £75 million of funding, grant funding allocations. Nearly £50 million of co-investment has been achieved, and over 1,000 AI skills courses have been completed and delivered. This is my contact details, or these are my contact details. The email is there, and on the right you have a QR code to connect to the BridgeAI program. So when it incarnates in its second version, hopefully you'll be in a good position to join and connect up. Of course, we couldn't have done this without our partners, so I thought I'd mention them: the Hartree Centre, STFC, obviously, Digital Catapult, the Alan Turing Institute, which I mentioned earlier, BSI, the British Standards Institute, and of course you. It's been a pleasure to meet you on this journey where I have done, and if I haven't, please do get in touch and contact. The programme spent nearly £100 million and it funded 4 subsector areas. And its mission statement has been to empower businesses in high growth sectors and support them through their journey. All it remains for me to say is thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. Once you've read that 80-page strategy on the government website, if you're interested in the GM plan, so yesterday the delivery plan for the frontier economic section, the frontier economic plan for creative industries for Greater Manchester was published yesterday. So if you want something that's a bit more hyper-local, you can have a look for that. Right, and now we're going to another of the UKRI projects. So Jane Guest, lead of Mindset XR, is also going to join us online to give us a brief overview of their programme.
Hi everyone. Firstly, I wanted to say how disappointed I am not to be able to be here in person. As ever, I'm sure there's a great buzz, but thanks to Beyond, I am really grateful to be able to join you virtually. I'm Jane, and it's my privilege to lead Innovate UK's Mindset XR for Mental Health programme. Today, I'd love to share our story, with the hope that it will inspire those innovating in the creative sector to consider bringing their many talents and skills into healthcare. Mindset was created to tackle a key societal issue, the rising crisis in mental health. As shown by the stats, whether it's common mental health conditions or severe, prevalence is increasing across the UK. But the key outtake here is that less than half of those living with a mental health condition are receiving treatment. With increasing demand and not enough clinicians, there is a huge digital opportunity. To address this issue, we've taken an approach that's holistic. Utilising a programme budget of £20 million, we are delivering to 3 key work streams. Grant funding, encouraging partnerships between academia and industry, investment partnerships to boost public funding and stimulate more private investment, and a Mindset XR innovation support programme designed to optimise outcomes and deliver the most economic and social impact. 3 years in, and both impact and opportunity is clear. On a programme level, Mindset has funded and supported over 70 projects and helped grow the wider ecosystem. We've progressed innovation from initially treating wellbeing to now targeting severe mental health conditions. Critically, projects have started to create more jobs and win more investment to secure adoption. And last but not least, our support programme is achieving an amazing Net Promoter Score of 9. This programme has free resources for everyone, so please do look it up online. But most importantly, our Mindset projects are already delivering impact in the real world. Here's just one example: XR Therapeutics, who use VR to treat a wide range of mental health conditions ranging from anxiety right the way through to PTSD. And I'm delighted to share that we have a strong contingency of Mindset projects showcasing their vital work at Beyond this year. Indeed, I'm delighted that some will be sharing their stories with you all today. and there is potential to deliver even greater impact. As you can see, Mindset supports all key government, NHS, life sciences strategies. So there is a strong case for further investment. We're in the final throes of spending review at the moment, but are hoping to launch new grant funding calls from 2027, if not sooner. In closing, I'd like to encourage all those interested to visit the Innovate UK stand and see the exciting innovations our projects are working on today. Finally, I'd also love to speak to any of you that would like to know more about the work of the programme or our innovators. So please do get in touch, and thank you all for your time.
Right, thanks very much for listening to those. Now we're going to hear from 3 of the projects that have been funded through those programmes, so you can hear in practice what this means, what this funding has done. So I'd like to invite you up, and I'll just do a quick introduction to all 3, and then each one will have between 5 and 10 minutes to do a lightning talk, and then we're going to pose some questions, and if we've got time to take some questions from you guys, we will as well. So have a think about if there's anything you'd like to ask. So in no particular order. So first of all, we have Alex Boyd, the founding director of EcoGPX. So he's got over 25 years professional experience as a plural community entrepreneur specialising in applied eco-embodied culture. Maybe you'd like to unpick that. Alex is the conceiver and co-founder of the Embodied Research Working Group at the International Federation for Theatre Research, through which he is founding executive director with Intercultural Roots for Public Health. Then after that, we've got Tony Steffert, the co-founder and chief science officer for SONA. So Tony's a neuroscientist, product design engineer and sound engineer with research at Imperial College Goldsmiths and the Open University, specialising in neurofeedback, biofeedback and neuromodulation, and has a PhD in real-time EEG, so that's brainwave sonification. And then we have Sean Carroll, the business development manager for Tend VR. So Sean is a experienced business manager with a track record of delivering commercially driven and customer-focused programs across the public and creative sectors in the UK and internationally. And Sean managed a program of cutting-edge R&D immersive experiences for Factory 42, including the multi-award-winning The Green Planet AR experience and the Lost Origin live mixed reality theatrical experience. So there's a lot of performing and theatrical experience we have here on the panel. So who'd like to kick off? Is that you?
I don't mind starting.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. Thanks everyone for being here. Pleasure. So yeah, as Julie said, I'm Alex Boyd. Yeah, we have got some slides. I don't know. Oh, do I have to do that? Okay. Are you sure? Yeah. Oh, that's really great. Thanks so much. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, I'm a practitioner of a Chinese embodied culture. So when I was a teenager, I started off, learning some practices like Tai Chi and breath work and dance and movement. And that evolved into becoming a teacher of those practices, and then applying them into communities, mainly in Yorkshire, so north of England, UK, but also internationally as well. That was in the 2000s, and then I went and did a PhD in performance studies and critical education, and that led me then to getting involved in some research organisations and founding this charity called Intercultural Roots for Public Health in 2018, and the charity is all about arts and education, but for ecological health, and positive social change as well. So really focused on multicultural, intercultural communities, diversity, EDI, accessibility, anti-ableism, anti-racism, really, inclusion in its sort of wider sense. We have a network of about 800 practitioner scholars now, mainly in the UK based, but globally reaching. So our practitioners are in over 50 countries now. And we've been successful with quite a lot of charitable trust and foundation funding to start off with. And then in 2003, we got our first Innovate UK funding, and we've had 4 Innovate UK funds since then. I must sort of say, you know, I've also worked as a kind of consultant helping third sector organisations and groups get established and their strategy and their funding as well. And alongside that, my first degree was in computing in IT, so I was also a systems engineer for a while. And it's just recently that these worlds of the arts and community and technology are kind of coming together. I will say, next slide, so next slide, please. There we go. And I think it's really important in Beyond in this work that we recognise the meaning and the importance of what we're doing, and you know, certainly for intercultural roots, the impacts that we're trying to achieve, and particularly with the mindset funding and other funding that we've got around mental health, but also connecting people in communities and thinking about what matters. You know, that's a central question to our work with our communities. What matters to you, and how can we use the metaphor of a tree. How can we deeply listen and root into a community? What are the issues and the challenges? That's like the rooting. And the trunk of the tree is the artistic practices. And in response to what those challenges are. And then the technology side is like the branches of our tree. You know, utilising technology to enable collaboration and democratic documentation and sharing and engagement of the work, so that a little bit like a kind of cascading fountain in a way. You know, the whole process is regenerative. Next slide, please. And I'm going to speak about 2 things, maybe 3, in the next few minutes. I know time's flying by already. One is about the technology, and it's called Places by EcoGPX. And the charity spun out a technology company that I also founded, but work with the team collaboratively to ensure that the technologies that we're developing are ethical and impactful regeneratively with the work of the charity. So I'll speak about that, and I'll speak about Extending Nature, which is the Mindset XR funded program, which is about nature connectedness to benefit generalized anxiety disorder, so working with ecosomatic practitioners. Next slide. Thank you. I kind of mentioned regenerative earlier, and I think it's important as well to recognise that often funding and programs and projects is very top down, right? Particularly if it's coming from the government. But it's kind of super important to recognise bottom up as well. And a lot of our work, we really value practitioners and think about community-led research and practice as research. My kind of analogy for that, you know, have you ever had a little apple pip between your fingers and you fire it? Have you ever done that where you press it? And you kind of need those 2 forces applied to the apple pip for it to have direction to shoot off. Otherwise, you're just sort of pushing it. But if you really want something to happen and you know, navigate forward, you need those two forces, like from the community, but also the support through funding and resourcing. I think a sailing boat is another good analogy for that. You know, you have the sail, but you also have the keel underneath, the wind and the water, and the rudder. Right, we need a rudder for direction. So that's kind of important, I think, in this kind of conference, that we're not just all chasing the money, but the money is following the needs of the community. Next slide, thank you. So, next slide. Yeah, there we go. So the Places by EcoGPX app, it's on Apple and Google download sites, and it's a prototype phase that was developed through working with the community, a very multicultural community in Coventry. I think you saw a slide earlier of the co-creators in that project, and the idea of it is really it's an engine for place-based technology. We see it as a kind of socially augmented media, almost like a new kind of social media, but not one that's like in the cloud and the algorithm is taking people off down some kind of rabbit hole, but really about where we are, place, and the app allows organizations and communities to contribute media that's in their place. So the algorithm is a proximity algorithm that's about geolocation, so it's geo-tagged and also time-tagged as well. Just a sec. The next slide. This is just some screenshots from how the app is currently developing. Yeah, next slide. And the content that can be placed includes video and 360 video, and we're working on this. We're working with organizations and communities about what kind of features and media and uses of this app could be as well. So I think it's really got potential, not only for the Intercultural Roots charity and the Extending Nature project that I'll talk about in a minute, but any organization that maybe has got a venue or works in the community, maybe is a heritage building or a landscape, where you could contribute, you could place media so that your visitors or public or even your staff can, as they scroll through the app, it takes them from where they are outwards in terms of distance and time as well. So there's an opportunity at the moment, because we've got the funding from Innovate UK, to work with organisations and communities to build the app over the next 8 to 10 months so that it has the features that would be valuable to you. So there's kind of open invitation there to get involved with us and help build the app so that it's something that you could use. And yeah, it's been used in various ways. And next slide. And this is the Extending Nature project that Innovate UK and Mindset XR are funding. And as next slide. As I said earlier, yeah, I mean, wow, I think the second slide I had was about why is this work important, and valuing the needs, the challenges, the issues. And in Jane's presentation earlier, she highlighted some of the mental health needs that we have in our country and globally, right, at the moment. And generalized anxiety disorder is one of those that is affecting, I think, about 6 in 100 people in terms of sort of medicalized, but not everybody is going to the GP and seeking treatment. Anyway, next slide. So the Extending Nature project is really opening an invitation. We just put a call out a few weeks ago, and I think it just closed, but we've had like 50 responses from eco-somatic practitioners. But by that I mean practitioners who work in a kind of environmental or ecological way, but through the arts. And somatics is like movement practices, but not only that, very diverse practices, and bringing those people together to collaborate, to talk about what kind of meaningful scores and practices can be contributed to a repository that the app will share. So wherever you are in the country, you can open the app up and be able to access these practices. But also there'll be a repository or a library of practices as well. So, for example, you know, like how to breathe in ways that helps to deeply relax, or how to ground, how to center, how to just be in nature and slow down. It's a kind of technology that's an anti-technology. You know, yesterday someone was mentioning the attention time now is like -5 seconds. You know, you've got to grab people's attention even before they go into YouTube or click play on a video. Well, we're kind of flipping that and saying no, like the app on the smartphone in many ways is to learn one of these practices and then put the phone in your pocket and just be there in nature and listen to the birds, or root with the trees, something like that, yeah? Because there's evidence that nature connectedness benefits anxiety. So we see the technology not as leading the conversation, but following. You know, the technology is there to support the impact and the health impact of this as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, great. I think I've kind of covered most of that. Just again, it's another call and invitation. So not only to arts organisations, creative industries organisations, but also healthcare organisations. So we're working with Merseycare Foundation, NH Trust in Merseyside, and the University of Liverpool. And I've got to say that the support from Mindset through the Health Innovation Network South London has been amazing and is really enabling lots of contacts for us. But we have an open invitation for any organisation involved in mental health, or whether it's in the community or part of a clinical pathway, to work with us again on developing the app specifically to be valuable to your communities. Next slide, please. And the last thing I want to say, just two very quick things, is we are working on, this might be of interest to you. It's funding from DCMS Create Growth, and we're building a decentralized autonomous organization. And this is a way in which the community, a local community, can finance events or projects, or installations, or productions. So it's a kind of crowdsourced way. It's built on blockchain, and so there's like open protocols about becoming a member and what the rights are democratically and collaboratively. So if you promote, a bit like a crowdfunder but very different, if you promote an event and people contribute not only money but also their time, the idea of bartering, and potentially even the paid audience can become co-owners and members of this DAO, and have a voice in the programming, be able to share, receive shares of surplus revenue as well. So it's a real sort of community co-financing of events. So that's something maybe to look out for on our website, DAO Createch. And just to really finish, there's an AI focus in this panel today, and I was very fortunate through BridgeAI and the Alan Turing Institute to be an expert in residence on the Turing Way Practitioner Hub. So if you have an interest in bringing AI into your organisation, your work, I really recommend that. They're a fantastic team. And I presented this idea for Memories by EcoGPX at a BridgeAI ideation lab, and it was really taken on. And it's something that I'd really love to resource, is building an ethical, closed AI. And large language model, machine learning to benefit people with dementia and Alzheimer's. So build a real positive use case of AI and also their families and carers by bringing together media, videos, photos, music, connection to archives that would help people with that terrible disease that's affecting about 6 in 100 people again. It's very prevalent, to help to remember their identity and to build on the notion of reminiscence as well. So that's all I have to say for the moment. So thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. I think a couple of things really resonated with me there. Well, a lot resonated with me. That you talked about what matters to people, so what matters to you, not what's the matter with you. I think that's a really person-centered, community sort of focused approach. And also, everything you're talking about really fits with the NHS's new 10-year plan and the focus on prevention and neighbourhood health, and how people, and the idea that you can get support in your neighbourhood for your everyday support for your kind of like everyday health and well-being needs. And I can see how your work can really activate that and support communities. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to move on now to Tony.
I might go to the podium.
Okay.
Right, just because I'm not sure I'll be able to remember the order of the... am I up next on this side? Oh yeah, cool. And that's working. Yeah. Great. So I'm Tony from SONA. We are built, well, I should just say I've got quite a mixed background with sound engineering and the arts and stuff before I got into neuroscience. Became a researcher, and my whole kind of push is to try and empower people, and what we're trying to do that is through translational research, trying to make a device real and get it into people's ears. So what we're building is an auricular vagal nerve stimulation device, something that's nice and wearable, easy to wear. Hopefully it looks beautiful. I don't know if that's an opinion. And initially as a consumer wellness device, but eventually as a medical device when funds allow. So I should tell you a little bit about auricular. There seems to be, I think, a lot of people knowing about it now, but the auricular nerve is an amazing nerve. It goes throughout the body. It talks to all of your major organs, and it's bidirectional, so you've got signals from your body to your brain and vice versa. And through this quirk of evolution, they happen to have these cables in the ear that would have controlled the swim bladder of fish, but that means we can electrically stimulate in the ear, and it increases vagal activity, which basically what that means is it induces parasympathetic activity. So you all know about the rest and digest. So this helps you to get into that rest and digest state. It also induces neuroplasticity, so it makes the brain ready to learn. So our whole, sorry, I've skipped ahead. It's been around, actually surgically implanted vagal nerve has been around since the 90s for epilepsy and depression, and then handheld devices and non-invasive devices for the last 20 years, and auricular for about the last 10 years. So there's a whole bunch of conditions it's used for. We are initially going, as I said, for stress, sleep and cognition. But the kind of key feature, the kind of nearly unique aspect of what we're doing is we have a pulse sensor, so we can measure heart rate and heart rate variability. Are people familiar with heart rate variability? No, not really. Okay. So a quick say about that, but basically your heart does not tick like a metronome. If it did, you're about to die. It's a really bad sign. It speeds up and slows down. If you're stressed or running around, it speeds up, and if you're calm, it slows down. So basically, this is something you can very easily measure, and it's something you can very easily train. So a lot of the somatic exercises, breathing exercises will increase heart rate variability. And as a very rough rule of thumb, the younger you are, the fitter you are, and the happier you are, the greater your variability. And as you get old, ill, and stressed, the less your variability. So we're able to measure that, which this means we're able to pair to different devices. So we've designed this so it will go with earbuds or over-the-head headphones, so we can pair with music and breathing exercises. But as part of the Mindset XR project, we are pairing it with virtual reality. So we've got kind of proper bidirectional communication, so both devices can talk to each other. And where my kind of quest in life as Chief Scientific Officer is to try and work out what we can pair with it, because the idea is if you can get someone nice and relaxed and have them in a ready-to-learn state, then you should do something appropriate rather than sitting there picking your nose or something. It should be something relevant. So, for example, if I've got the right slide, oh no, I haven't, sorry. This is just an example of the closed loop, which I think I'll skip over. But for example, we did a little feasibility study for tinnitus, where we combined it with the kind of sound therapy that they use in tinnitus and slow resonant breathing. Try and throw slow resonant breathing in everything, I'm a big fan of that. We've done another little feasibility study for Parkinson's, where we paired it with a different kind of electrical stimulation called vestibular stimulation, where you stimulate on the back of the mastoid here. And this XR project we're dealing with anxiety and depression in chronic pain, where we're combining it with VR and the breathing. I have to say a big thanks to the XR. We managed to get the XR Innovate partnership and Mindset Innovate partnership and the Mindset XR project. So they've been really helpful to us. And my little bit about AI and machine learning is some of the stuff we're going to be doing is, so this top wave here is a pulse wave, and I did bring a pointer, but I forgot. This is a breathing pacer. So this is me, and the blue line, the dark blue line, is me breathing along, and I don't know whether you can see how the pulse speeds up and slows down. So that is heart rate variability, and this is plotting it here. So what we can do is we can detect when people are, if you do nice slow breathing, we can detect when they're breathing, and we can stimulate on the exhale. So when you breathe out slowly, that's when you do your most parasympathetic inducing activity. And if we stimulate on that, we should get the idea is you get a double whammy effect. So that's a really kind of simple level machine learning. The device can stimulate in all sorts of interesting ways. Basically, we have different frequency parameters and things that we hopefully will be able to do machine learning to optimize and personalize. I've just realized this is all too techy. I've just come from a neurotech conference yesterday, and I've kind of overpitched it. But some of the things we want to add machine learning to, and this is all hand waving because it's just a startup. We'll be going to market in December. Is things like having an agentic interface where you kind of have a coach that can know where you are in your training session and maybe suggest other parts of the app that you can use. We're thinking about things like AI chatbots and things like that. But basically what we want to do, because we've got this heart rate variability data, which is a kind of response to the stimulation, is try and do optimization, working out, when's the best time of day, how many sessions a week, all that kind of thing that's personalized for you. So that's my hand wave on that. And my spin on creativity, because I'm always being asked about this, based on the kind of research evidence that I've seen, I don't think we can claim to improve creativity, but I think we can claim to stop the things that stop you from being creative, i.e. stress. Because we know that basically when you go into that stress, fight and flight mode, you become very tunnel vision, and that's not very creative. Obviously you need a certain amount of arousal to be creative, but you become over-aroused. So this is the kind of thing that you could use as a creative aid, and we're imagining this is the kind of thing you'd be able to put in your pocket. And one of the things I'm calling is the train trainer. You could put it on your commute in the morning to try and cope with, arouse yourself up to get ready for the day, or on the way home to calm down. So there's a flying overview of SONA.
Thank you very much.
Are you coming back up here?
One of the things that I was thinking about in response to that, the tech that you've been working on is really about giving people the information, the resources, and the agency to maximise their own health, and particularly if you're thinking about people who are living with a long-term condition. So you talked about heart rate a lot. So cardiovascular disease is one of the biggest killers. It is the biggest killer in Great Manchester. Costs the NHS the most money, and ultimately this kind of tech can decrease healthcare utilisation, so the amount of resources that a person draws on in the NHS, like could be an ambulance, could be a doctor's visit, and ultimately that saves the NHS money. So,
yeah, for me, there's my bigger thing of empowering people with product. It is just making it more normal to be able to do this, more available, and well, actually, we've got two things, because as we become a medical device, then there will be the medical need. But as a consumer device, it doesn't have to be a medical condition. You don't have to get a label. And actually, in the conference that we just at yesterday, there's the whole idea of
talking about something called endophenotypes, where you don't have to necessarily go to the label, you don't need a diagnosis of depression or anxiety. It's more about the physiological symptoms that create those. And actually that would be a more efficient way of dealing with things, because you say, I have a X thing that's causing me a problem. I don't necessarily need a label. Although I accept that labels can be useful, so yeah. I don't want to criticise them too much.
Right, thank you ever so much. And finally, we're going to move across to Sean. Are you going to use the podium?
I'll use the podium as well, just because I'm not used to presenting sitting down. So hi, my name's Sean. I stand in front of rooms a lot of the time and talk to people about the global mental health crisis, and it's kind of like, it's quite a depressing topic, but it's quite hard to sort of visualize what that means. And I think it's kind of unbelievable to think that if the queue of people with anxiety and depression in the world started behind me, it would loop round and it would finish just in front of me. And the reason that's unbelievable is because it's not true, because it would go around another 16 times. I've been in that queue, and I know what it's like to feel like the world's in front of you as well. So basically there's over 1 billion people living with anxiety and depression at the moment, and the cost to treat that is staggering. And using existing techniques, one of the most popular techniques that there is mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. It's really effective treatment for anxiety and depression. It's diagnosed, it's live on the NHS, but it's a talking therapy, it's a group therapy, and it's 2 hours on a Tuesday night. And if you're a double carer, that's almost impossible to do. But it is really effective. So what we've done with TEND is we've created a mindfulness-based intervention which takes MBCT and kind of bottles it and puts it into virtual reality. But the easiest way for me to explain what that's like is to show you a quick video. Hopefully, he says.
Welcome to TEND, a peaceful escape from the world around you. TEND is created within a dynamic, ever-changing world which provides the perfect location to complete our 8-week mindfulness-based cognitive therapy course. Designed by a team of academics, clinicians, and MBCT practitioners, TEND is the world's first VR MBCT course. Taking place over 8 weeks and 40 sessions, TEND takes you into a carefully crafted course that teaches the fundamentals of mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. TEND includes a variety of interactive tools that help demonstrate the core concepts of mindfulness, as well as relaxation sessions like the popular rain meditation, a bedtime meditation, and many others, as well as thought noticing exercises designed to help you understand your thought processes, a dynamic reward and growth system that visually tracks your progress through the weeks, dynamic unlockable wildlife, including birds, fish, and others, as well as a beautiful home environment and various guided meditations. We're constantly working hard to improve TEND and are adding new content, including new environments, new sessions, more unlockable wildlife, interactivity, and new courses. So please join us and help us develop TEND, the future of wellbeing.
So that's TEND. And the thing is, it really works. And I think that's one of the most important things. We're live on the NHS, and it's a medical device. Over the course of 5 studies to date, we have found consistently it reduces PHQ-9 and GAD-7, which are your scores for anxiety and depression, reduces them by 50% consistently across all of the studies. It is significantly cheaper than existing talking therapies, and the completion rates are quite staggering. We've got over 80% people complete all 8 weeks. And also reliable recovery, so reliable recovery in the NHS is around 47%. We're looking at 59% reliable recovery. That's people not needing return back for therapy. And one headset can treat 200 people a year. So that is starting to some really game-changing numbers. And so how it works, and I think so going back to our most recent piece of Innovate funding, our mindset funding, we did a study most recently where we worked with Mind, and we put headsets on the site with Mind sites. Previously, we've been sending headsets to people at home, and they've been doing it, but we thought, will people travel? Will they be interested in coming to sit and spend 45 minutes in a headset? The answer is yes. We did it across the country, England and Wales, we had people travelling 40, 50 miles to put a headset on and spend 45 minutes on site with Mind and accompanied by the staff at Mind. Across that course as well, 7.8 out of 8 weeks was the average number of courses completed, which for me, as somebody who has failed talking. Well, maybe he failed. I don't know. Anyway, dropped out of talking therapies a lot quicker than that. That sort of number was huge, and I think that for me is the sort of thing which is really shows the real impact of this. I think one of the things that we mentioned in there is about the interactions, and I think we had a great piece of feedback from somebody in Salford. So one of the interactions is that you sit there with your controllers by the lake and you blow up a balloon, and then you attach negative thoughts to the balloon and you let it drift across the lake. And we had someone saying that they sit on the bus now and they do that and they let their negative thoughts drift across the city. And I think that's something really beautiful with that, and I think it's something that can only be done with VR, because you're creating memories in virtual reality and then you're taking those memories into real life. So how does it work in practice? The easiest way for me to do that, again, quick video. No, you don't need to much more PowerPoint from me. Recently, ITV Wales went to see this in action, and I'll show you the clip from ITV Wales.
And pop the headset over your head, pull the strap down over the back, and just adjust it until you're comfortable.
Mark Hughes from the Rhondda enjoying a bit of escapism through this virtual reality headset. He's always struggled with anxiety and depression, and that was made worse after his father died 3 years ago. And these headsets are helping him cope with his mental health.
It brings me down from being anxious and anxiety, and it calms me right down. Before I was on it, I was really aggressive, angry. I couldn't talk to many people. I wasn't socialising. But with doing the VR, I find now it's helping.
That help stems from the VR set focusing on things like breathing exercises and placing the user in calming virtual environments. We normally associate these VR sets with the gaming world, but these devices are being used to help people with their mental health. With 1 in 6 young people being diagnosed with a mental health problem in Wales, the hope is that one day these devices could be rolled out across the country to help people with their mental well-being. Before it gets to that stage, a trial is underway in Rhondda Cynon, which is being led by the mental health charity New Horizons.
We had a gap in offering services to men and to younger people, and we came into contact with the company called 10 VR, and they've developed a programme and licences that can be used on a VR headset, which we then thought that would be brilliant as a way of working with men and younger people.
And the trial has been funded by the Penna Cymoedd Wind Farm Community Fund to the tune of £50,000.
So this project we're really excited to fund because, as we said, mental health and well-being, is a priority, and we all know that lots of people are suffering from mental health issues more and more, and the resources available to them are oversubscribed and sometimes not accessible.
With life being so hectic, we hear so much about practicing mindfulness. And maybe it's these devices that will help us connect to our inner calm. All done, though, through a virtual world. Liam McCarthy, ITV News in Ferndale.
And
so that's it. That is Tend in Action. And I think one of the things that's really that this work has shown is that, going back to the NHS 10-year plan, we're being able to put mental health care in the community for people to access directly, people travelling to it. It's preventing worsening illness because people are able to access it quicker without having to go through waiting lists. So we're really doing something which I think is really quite powerful. And these are just a few more of the comments that people have been giving. I think it's reading these comments is something which is really quite powerful for us as a team. We get these through, and it's that kind of thing. It just gives you a lift. Sometimes when you've had a day in Unity where everything crashes and everybody's sad in the office. So that's quick whistle-stop tour of Tend. If you want to get in contact, my email's up there. We'd love to work with anybody who's working in healthcare, working with communities, and people who want to help us put mental health treatment into the hands of as many people as possible. Thank you.
So just a couple of reflections on that. And I did a quick Google of completion rates for talking therapies, and there's one study that says the general rate is 37%, and your completion rate is 75, did you say?
No, it's now 88 after
right.
those recent studies. So once people have, so the way it works, without going into too many details, you do a 20-minute introduction session, and if you like that introduction session, then you get moved by the NHS to do that as your therapy course. And what we found is that basically, if you complete the first week, you are going to complete all 8.
Right, which is incredible. It's complete. It's way outperforms any kind of talking therapy. So, and the other words that I noted down, I think, like accessibility, how community and person centered again is. I think that's a common thread that it's really works for men. And obviously we know that talking therapies for men are problematic. They don't generally work. And also I'm thinking, if you're neurodivergent, as I am, I would do that. And because it gets my busy brain would actually, I could engage with that. Whereas a talking therapy is quite agonizing sometimes.
Well, we're about to do a piece of work which is going to be an ADHD specific piece, because we've had so much feedback which says I've got ADHD and I can concentrate. And I think that's really, and so we're going to do something which is slightly specifically focused on ADHD. But also, I think, again, if you look at the stats of the people that go through our study, it's amazing that we're getting impact with men. But because we've been referred to people who've self-referred by the NHS, if you look at the numbers of people who've gone through, the core, my ideal patient, as it were, at the moment, is a woman aged 30 to 70. Socioeconomic is completely irrelevant, but that's the core group of people who are self-referring. And I think the fact that we've been able to have that project in Wales where we've been able to target specifically men has been really helpful, because we need to be challenging men's mental health issues.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I found all 3. I've got so many notes and so many questions. And actually, we set up 3 questions and we haven't got time for them. So what I think I'd rather do is ask if any of you have got any comments or questions for any of the panel. We've literally got 5 minutes. So if any of you would like to ask anything or comment on anything, please put your hand up. You've got questions.
I won't give everyone else.
Do you want to use this? I can do the mic run around. I don't mind.
Not sure if I need the mic. It was about the 10 stuff that was so interesting. And I just wondered if, do you use it on under 18s? Do you use it on teenagers?
No, is the short answer. And the reason for that is we've worked really, really closely with lived experience patients to develop the existing version, but we haven't had children involved in that piece of work. And so we know that there's a lot of studies around mindfulness and how children react to mindfulness, and it works for some, it doesn't work for others. So what we want to do is, when we've got the opportunity to just take a step back and actually get a bunch of teenagers together in a room and actually say, how do we co-design something properly? Because it might not be VR, it might be again, but in a couple of years' time, it might be something completely different that they need. So we're really, really interested in that, but we want to find something that we know will have the same sort of impact as we're seeing with adults.
I just thought because they're so engaged in VR, and I think it would feel such an accessible way of engaging to them. But I understand why you wouldn't as well.
Yeah, I think I think I'd say we do see that some teenagers just kind of like mindfulness. It's boring, and it's just that kind of and it's
until you give them a VR headset.
Yeah, I think because one thing that we do with the ADHD one, without going into too much detail, and we're doing also something with difficult to treat depression, where we're adding more interactions. So I think we might find as we work with children that they want more interactions, more playability, more gamification, more stuff which is just going to keep them sort of busy and learning.
You were halfway to grow a garden.
Yeah.
It's a Roblox in joke. Yes, of course.
Yeah. Do you want
to? Thanks very much. I wanted to ask a question about the role of nature connection in the VR experience, and also, Alex, you mentioned ecosomatics, which is really interesting. So, Sean, do you have a handle on sort of, is it the cognitive techniques specifically that are the most impactful of the experience? How much does the nature that's sort of embodied in that VR experience playing a key role therapeutically?
Yeah, I think we haven't done specific pieces of research on the nature side of it, but we have specifically built it in nature. And I think there is that kind of, I think, these guys probably, Alex will know even more about this than I do, but there's a lot of studies around VR, putting people in nature in VR, whether it's people with dementia using 360 videos of their local the walk down the local river that they used to do, all of those kind of things. There's a lot of there's a lot of research around the impact of nature, and just personally, I used to walk my dog in a forest. I've just moved to the coast and I walk my dog every morning by the sea, and that is really, really important. I think that connection with nature is really powerful, and the things that you can do in VR is you create real memories, and it can connect back to existing memories as well, which I think might work so well with people with dementia and that kind of thing, because you're building those neural pathways in different ways, and you're bringing them back to something which is familiar and comforting. I think Alex will probably know a lot more about sort of the impact of nature on your mental health.
Yeah, there is a lot of research that suggests nature connection can benefit anxiety and mental health, but it isn't necessarily just a case of going for a walk through a forest or just being in nature, but that's why we feel the ecosomatic practices are so important as a kind of portal, that maybe there's a training required in how people can better connect and attune to nature, and be attentive to their own nature. Like, we are nature, right? So there's an innate and there's the nature as well. So it's finding that harmony, as we were also saying there about breathing. Breathing is this kind of bridge between our inner and outer worlds, and if we can find that harmony through these nature-connected practices, research suggests that's very beneficial. Yeah.
I'm afraid we've run out of time, and I know there are some more questions. I'm really sorry about that. And I think this is a nice place to end, where we're reflecting on the connection between embodied practice, nature, AI and tech. So I didn't realise we were going to get there. So that's fantastic. Thank you all very much. Thanks to the speakers for a really interesting panel. Thank you.